Captain Daeho Kim stood on the bridge of the Magellan and watched the stars. They looked different out here, far from Earth, cold and distant. He had been a naval officer for 20 years, but this was his first time beyond the solar system. The ship hummed quietly around him, its new quantum drive working perfectly. Dr. Hanako had built something incredible. The sensor officer suddenly spoke. Her voice was tight with excitement or fear. Daeho could not tell which. "Captain, I have something. A structure." "It is not natural." Daeho moved to her station. On the screen he saw it. A massive station floating in the emptiness between stars. It was geometric and precise. No human had built this. No human could have built this. "This is it," Dr. Ko said from behind him. She had rushed to the bridge when the alert sounded. Her eyes were bright with wonder. "This is first contact." Lieutenant Mireille Park was less enthusiastic. The young Marine officer checked her weapon automatically. Old habits from combat training. She did not trust things she could not understand. "Send the standard greeting," Daeho ordered. All frequencies. They waited. Minutes stretched like hours. Then the screen flickered. An alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes arranged vertically, and its skin was the color of dark metal. When it spoke, the Magellan's computer translated the words into Korean primitive vessel. "Identify your species and purpose." The word primitive made Daeho's jaw tighten, but he kept his voice calm. "Professional. I am Captain Daeho Kim of Earth. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship with other intelligent species." The alien made a sound. The computer labeled it as laughter, Earth. "We will scan your vessel and inform the Dominion Council of your existence. Do not move from this location." The screen went dark. Dr. Ko looked at Daeho with confusion. "That was not the greeting I expected," she said. "They scanned us," the sensor officer reported. "Deep scan. They know everything about our technology now." 3 weeks later, Ambassador Jiho Choi arrived at the Dominion capital world. The planet was called Arcanus Prime, and it was beautiful and terrifying. Cities stretched across entire continents. Ships filled the sky like birds, and everywhere aliens of 100 different species moved with purpose. Choi had been chosen because he spoke 7 Earth languages and had negotiated peace treaties on 3 continents. He believed deeply in diplomacy. But standing in the council chamber, facing beings who had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, he felt very small. Legate Vornis spoke for the council. He was tall and thin, his species ancient beyond human comprehension. His voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Humanity. You have been assessed. Your technology is classified as Category 7. Primitive. Your military capability is negligible. Your industrial capacity is limited to a single star system." Choi kept his face neutral. He had prepared for this. Earth had known they would be behind in technology. "We understand we are newcomers to galactic civilization," Choi said carefully. "We hope to learn from older species and contribute what we can." Vornis made a gesture that might have been dismissal. "Category 7 species do not contribute. They serve. These are the terms of your integration. Earth will accept Dominion oversight. You will provide resources and labor as required. Your military development will be restricted. Your expansion beyond your home system will be controlled. In exchange, you will receive protection and basic technology transfers." The words hit Choi like physical blows. This was not negotiation. This was surrender. "And if we refuse these terms?" he asked quietly. Now several council members made the laughing sound. Vornis leaned forward. "In 10,000 years, no species has refused. The strong rule, the weak serve. This is the natural order of the galaxy. Your refusal would be seen as rebellion. Rebellion is met with subjugation. We would take what you will not give freely." Choi looked at the faces around him. Dozens of species. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked indifferent. This was normal to them. This was how things had always been. "I need to consult with my government," Choi said. "You have 1 Earth month," Vornis replied. "Then we will come to your system for your answer." Back aboard the Magellan, Captain Daeho read Ambassador Choi's report 3 times. Each time his anger grew. Dr. Ko sat across from him in his ready room, her face pale. "They want to make us slaves," Lieutenant Park said. She was not part of the meeting officially, but Daeho had asked her to attend. He trusted her instincts. "Not slaves," Dr. Ko said quietly. "Client species. It is different, is it? Park asked. We give them resources. We give them labor. We cannot build our own military. We cannot explore freely. What do you call that? Ko had no answer. Deho looked at the star charts on his wall. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was preparing to receive Earth's submission. They expected obedience. They had always received obedience. But something Dr. Ko had discovered nagged at him. She had studied the alien technology during their time at Arcanus Prime. The Dominion's faster-than-light drives were more powerful than Earth's, yes, but they were not more advanced. The physics was the same. The engineering was old. Very old. They have stopped innovating, Dr. Ko had told him privately. Their technology is 10,000 years old. They have refined it, made it more efficient. But they have not made breakthroughs. They do not need to. They already rule everything. Deho made his decision. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Maximum speed. On Earth, in the Great Assembly Hall where the world government met, President Salman Kang listened to Ambassador Choi's full report. The room was silent when he finished. Then everyone started talking at once. Some representatives argued for acceptance. Better to be a client species than to be destroyed. Others argued for resistance. Humanity had not survived countless wars and disasters by surrendering to bullies. President Kang raised her hand for silence. She was a small woman with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much suffering. She had been elected because people trusted her judgment. Now that judgment would decide humanity's future. I have read Dr. Ko's analysis, she said. The Dominion is powerful but complacent. They expect us to submit because everyone always submits. They do not expect resistance because resistance has never succeeded. She paused, looking at each face in the room. We will not fight them openly. Not yet, we are not ready. But we will not submit either. We will play their game. We will pretend to accept their terms. And while we pretend, we will prepare. We will learn. We will build. And when the time comes, we will show them that they chose the wrong species to enslave. The vote was nearly unanimous. Humanity would pretend to bow while sharpening its teeth. When the Dominion delegation arrived at Earth, they were met with ceremony and apparent submission. President Kang signed the documents that made Earth a client species of the Dominion. She smiled and spoke of gratitude for Dominion protection. Legate Vornis seemed satisfied. Another primitive species had accepted its place. The galaxy's order remained unchanged. But in secret facilities being built in the asteroid belt, in laboratories hidden beneath Earth's surface, in meetings held in absolute secrecy, humanity began its true work. They would learn everything about their new masters. They would find every weakness. They would build weapons the Dominion could not imagine. Lieutenant Mirai Park stood in one of those secret facilities, watching the first prototype warship take shape. It was small and ugly and built with stolen technology, but it was theirs. It was human, and it was the first ship of what would become a fleet. She thought about the Dominion's arrogance, their certainty that humanity would obey. They expected submission. They would learn their mistake. But not today, not tomorrow. When humanity struck, it would be at a time and place of their choosing. And the blow would be devastating. The chains were on humanity now. But chains could be broken, and humanity had always been very good at breaking things that tried to hold them down. 5 years had passed since Earth became a client species. To any observer, humanity had accepted its fate. Dominion ships patrolled the outer solar system. Dominion inspectors walked freely on Earth's surface. Resources flowed outward to Dominion worlds right on schedule. President Salman Kang attended council meetings and spoke with respect about Dominion wisdom. It was all a lie. Director Yunji An sat in an office that did not officially exist, 3 kilometers beneath the surface of Mars. On her screens were status reports from projects the Dominion had no idea existed. The Prometheus Initiative, the secret that would save humanity or doom it. She was a thin woman with sharp eyes and no patience for failure. Before the Dominion came, she had run intelligence operations for Earth's military. Now she ran the largest covert operation in human history. Dr. Hana Ko, show me the latest results, An said into her communicator. A screen flickered to life. Dr. Ko appeared, looking tired but excited. Behind her, An could see the laboratory where Ko and her team worked on what they called adaptive technology. We have done it, Ko said. The neural interface works. Our pilots can now connect directly with ship systems. Reaction time is 3 times faster than Dominion standards. An allowed herself a small smile. 3 times faster. That was an advantage the Dominion would never expect. The Dominion taught us their technology, Ko continued. They think we are learning to maintain their systems. They do not realize we are improving them. Human creativity combined with alien engineering. We are creating something new. How many ships can we equip? An asked all of them. The Shadow Fleet will have capabilities the Dominion cannot match. The Shadow Fleet. It was humanity's greatest secret. In hidden facilities throughout the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt, hundreds of warships were being built. Small, fast, and deadly. Nothing like the massive Dominion battleships. Human engineers had studied Dominion weaknesses for 5 years. These ships were designed to exploit everyone. Commander Gu Bai oversaw the fleet construction. She had been a special forces operator before the Dominion arrived. Now she commanded the largest military force humanity had ever assembled, and not one ship flew under official Earth registry. She stood in the command center of Facility 7, watching a new destroyer complete its final tests. The ship moved through the asteroid field with impossible grace. Its pilot, connected through Ko's neural interface, dodged obstacles at speeds that would have been suicide for a Dominion helmsman. Beautiful, said Lieutenant Mireille Park, who now served as Bay's second-in-command. She had been promoted twice in 5 years, all in secret. The Dominion thought she was still a junior officer on a patrol ship. How many are ready? Bay asked. 215 vessels fully operational, another 50 in final assembly. We will have 300 ships within 6 months. Bay nodded slowly. 300 ships against the Dominion's thousands. The numbers looked bad, but numbers were not everything. Dominion commanders had grown lazy. Their tactics had not changed in centuries. Their ships were built for overwhelming force, not for fighting an enemy that refused to be overwhelmed. While the Shadow Fleet grew in secret, other humans worked equally dangerous jobs. Taemin Huang was officially a civilian freighter captain, making regular cargo runs to Dominion worlds. In reality, he was an intelligence operative, and his cargo ships were full of sensors and recording equipment. He had visited 73 different Dominion systems in 5 years. His computers held detailed maps of military installations, defense platforms, and trade routes. Every docking procedure, every security checkpoint, every patrol pattern, all of it recorded, all of it sent back to Director An. On this particular day, Huang sat in a bar on a Dominion trading station, pretending to be drunk. 2 tables away, a Vrikathen military officer was complaining loudly to his companions. The humans are pathetic, the officer said. They mine asteroids and build simple stations. They have learned nothing in 5 years. I told the council they were wasting resources monitoring them. His companions laughed. Huang kept his face neutral and took another drink. Perfect. The Dominion saw exactly what they expected to see. Primitive humans struggling to meet quotas. They had no idea what was really happening in those asteroid mining facilities. But Huang had learned something more important during his travels. The Dominion was not as unified as it appeared. Client species whispered about rebellion. Ancient species competed for influence, and there were tensions even within the council itself. The Empire had cracks, small ones, but cracks could be widened. The delicate balance of deception nearly collapsed in the 5th year. A Dominion inspector named Calrix arrived at Earth's primary manufacturing facility unannounced. His species was known for their attention to detail. He demanded a complete audit of production. Director An received the alert within minutes. Her screen showed Calrix moving through the facility, examining records, asking questions. He was looking at power consumption data. The numbers did not match the reported output. The facility claimed to produce industrial components, but it used far more power than that would require, because half the power was actually being diverted to a secret manufacturing line building ship components. If Calrix discovered that, everything would unravel. An made a decision. She contacted the facility manager. Execute Protocol Omega, she said. The manager's face went pale. Protocol Omega meant destroying the facility, but he nodded and began the sequence. 20 minutes later, alarms began screaming throughout the facility. A coolant leak in the primary reactor. Genuine emergency. Calrix and his team were evacuated along with the human workers. From orbit, they watched the facility explode in a spectacular disaster. Kelrix examined the data from the explosion carefully. Everything matched a catastrophic system failure. Shoddy human engineering, inadequate safety protocols. He filed his report with contempt. The humans were even more incompetent than he thought. What Kelrix did not know was that the facility had been empty of anything valuable. The real manufacturing equipment had been moved weeks earlier. The explosion destroyed only a carefully prepared decoy, and his report of human incompetence would make future inspectors less thorough. Director On watched the report upload to Dominion networks. It had cost them 6 months of construction time and a lot of resources to prepare that decoy, but it was worth it. The Dominion's arrogance was humanity's greatest weapon. Let them think humans were stupid. Let them be confident. Confidence made people careless. As the 5th year ended, a new message arrived from the Dominion Council. It was marked urgent and directed to President Kang personally. Earth was being given an opportunity to prove its loyalty. A client world called Helvera 6 was in rebellion. The Dominion needed additional forces to suppress the uprising. Earth would provide military units to assist. President Kang read the message 3 times. Then she called an emergency meeting of the Prometheus Initiative's leadership. Director On, Commander Bay, and several others appeared on secure channels. "This is it," Kang said. "This is our chance," Commander Bay leaned forward. "Send forces to Helvera as requested. But those forces will not be from our official military. We send Shadow Fleet units. Let them reveal themselves when the time is right, and make contact with the rebels," On added. "If they succeed in throwing off Dominion rule with our help, we gain an ally, and we show every other oppressed species that rebellion is possible." Dr. Ko spoke quietly. "Once we reveal the Shadow Fleet, there is no going back. The Dominion will know we deceived them. They will come for Earth with everything they have." President Kang nodded. "I know, but we cannot hide forever, and we cannot let the Dominion think we will always obey. The Helverans are fighting for freedom. We should too. The vote was unanimous. Earth would send forces to Helvera 6, and when they arrived, they would not fight for the Dominion. They would fight against it. Commander Bay began selecting units for the mission. She chose Colonel Seojun Lim to lead the ground forces and Boram Shin to handle first contact with the Helverans. Both were among humanity's best. They would need to be. In the hidden shipyards, crews worked around the clock preparing vessels for deployment. In secret meetings across Earth, Mars, and the Belt, the word spread. The time was coming. 5 years of preparation, 5 years of deception, 5 years of building in secret while pretending to be weak. Lieutenant Park stood in the hangar bay of Facility 7, watching Marines load equipment onto transport ships. These were her people now. Volunteers, everyone. They knew what they were risking. They knew the Dominion would show no mercy if they failed, but they also knew that humanity had spent too long on its knees. The Dominion had given Earth a choice 5 years ago. Submit or be destroyed. Earth had pretended to submit. Now it was time to show the galaxy what submission had really bought them. Time, preparation, and the element of surprise. The Dominion expected obedience. They had always received obedience. For 10,000 years, every species had accepted the rules. The strong rule. The weak serve. But humanity was about to teach the galaxy a new rule. The weak can become strong if they are clever enough, patient enough, and angry enough. And after 5 years of pretending to bow, humanity was very angry indeed. The Helvera system was beautiful even in war. 3 planets orbited a blue star, and the second planet was covered in vast oceans with archipelagos of golden islands. The Helvaran people were amphibious, equally comfortable in water or on land. They had been a client species of the Dominion for 400 years. Now they were fighting for freedom. Colonel Seojun Lim watched the planet grow larger on his ship's view screen. Around him, 20 vessels carried human forces to join the Dominion fleet already in orbit. On paper, they were here to help suppress the rebellion. In reality, they were about to change everything. Admiral Quan Lee Song commanded the Dominion forces. He was Vrikathan, the same species as the border guards who had first contacted humanity 5 years ago. His flagship was massive, bristling with weapons. It made the human ships look like children's toys. That was intentional. Let him think humans were weak. "Human vessels, you will take position in Sector 7. Song's message was curt and dismissive. "You will support our main assault. Follow your designated coordinates exactly. Do not deviate." Understood, Lim replied. We are honored to serve. The words tasted like poison, but he kept his voice steady. Not yet. Not quite yet. Borum Shin sat in, a different part of Lim's ship, studying everything she could find about the Helverans. She was an intelligence officer and a xenopsychology specialist. Her job was to make first contact with the rebel leaders and convince them that humanity could be trusted. It would not be easy. To the Helverans, humans were just another Dominion client species. Why would they trust servants of their oppressors? But Shin had a plan, and she had something the Helverans desperately needed: information. The human ships took their assigned positions. For 3 days, they followed Dominion orders perfectly. They patrolled their sector. They reported suspicious activity. They acted like loyal auxiliaries. Admiral Song barely noticed them. On the 4th day, Shin took a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. Officially, she was delivering supplies to a Dominion outpost. Actually, she was about to risk her life on a very dangerous gamble. The shuttle landed near a coastal city. Half the buildings were rubble from orbital bombardment. Shin wore civilian clothes and carried no visible weapons. She walked into the ruins alone. The Helveran fighters found her within an hour, 5 of them moving silently through flooded tunnels beneath the city. They surrounded her with weapons raised. I need to speak with Makara, Shin said in their language. She had studied it for months. Tell her a human wants to offer an alliance. The fighters looked at each other. Then one of them spoke into a communicator. After a tense wait, they gestured for Shin to follow. They took her deep into the tunnels. The walls glistened with moisture. Water dripped from the ceiling. Finally, they reached a large chamber where dozens of Helverans were gathered around tactical displays. Makara stood at the center. She was tall and powerfully built, her skin the color of deep ocean water. Scars marked her arms and face. She had been fighting the Dominion for 10 years. A human, Makara said. Her voice was cold. Come to help your Dominion masters crush us? Shin met her eyes steadily. I came to help you win. Makara laughed. The sound was bitter. Humans are Category 7. You serve the Dominion like everyone else. We pretend to serve, Shin said. She pulled out a data device. This contains complete tactical data on the Dominion fleet in orbit. Positions, shield frequencies, weapon ranges, patrol schedules, everything. Makara took the device carefully. Her technical officers immediately began examining it. After several minutes, one of them looked up with shock. This is real, the officer said. This is current Dominion fleet data. How did you get this? We have been preparing for 5 years. Shin said, we have built a secret military. We have weapons the Dominion does not know about. And we are ready to fight. Makara studied Shin for a long moment. Why? Why would you help us? Because the enemy of our enemy is our friend, Shin said. Because every species the Dominion has crushed deserves freedom. And because when we strike against the Dominion we need allies. You are fighting them already. Join us. Fight with us. And when this is over, we build something better than what the Dominion created. Makara was silent. Then she nodded slowly. Tell me your plan. 2 days later, the plan went into action. Admiral Song's fleet was bombarding a Helveran stronghold when Colonel Lim's ship suddenly changed course. They moved toward one of the Dominion's orbital bombardment platforms. Song noticed immediately. Human vessels, return to your assigned sector, he commanded. Lim did not respond. Instead, his ships opened fire. The bombardment platform's shields flickered under weapons that should not have existed. Human ships were supposed to have primitive armaments, but these weapons cut through Dominion shields like they were paper. The platform's commander barely had time to send a distress signal before the structure exploded. Admiral Song stared at his screens in shock. The humans had just destroyed a Dominion military installation. That was impossible. That was rebellion. All ships, destroy the human vessels immediately, he ordered. But before his fleet could react, something else happened. The moon of Helvara Sixk, a dead rock where nothing should exist, suddenly came alive with power signatures, hundreds of them. The Shadow Fleet had arrived. Commander Jiu Bei watched from her flagship as 200 vessels dropped their stealth systems and accelerated toward the Dominion fleet. These were the ships that humanity had built in secret. Small, fast, deadly, and they were piloted by humans connected directly to their systems through neural interfaces. Every ship moved with impossible precision. Every weapon fired with perfect timing. The Dominion fleet was larger, much larger. But size did not matter when you could not hit your target. Human ships danced between Dominion vessels, too fast and agile to track. They struck at weak points identified during 5 years of intelligence gathering. Engines, shield generators, command centers. Admiral Song tried to organize a defense, but his commanders were trained for fighting rebellions, not military engagements. They expected overwhelming force to win. They did not know how to fight an enemy that refused to stay still. One by one, Dominion ships died. Some exploded spectacularly. Others simply went dark as their systems failed. The battle lasted 3 hours. At the end, half the Dominion fleet was destroyed or disabled. Admiral Song's flagship was crippled but intact. He sat in his command chair, unable to comprehend what had happened. Category 7 species did not have this technology. Category 7 species did not win battles against Dominion fleets. Colonel Lim's ship pulled alongside the Admiral's flagship. A transmission cut through the static. "Obedience was expected," Lim said. His voice was cold and hard. "You chose to make demands of the wrong species." Admiral Song tried to respond, but his communications were cut as boarding pods attached to his hull. Human Marines poured into his ship. Within minutes, he was a prisoner. On the surface of Helvara 6, Makara led her forces out of hiding. With the orbital bombardment platforms destroyed and the Dominion fleet broken, the war's balance had shifted. Helvaran fighters surged against Dominion ground forces. The uprising that had been slowly dying suddenly roared back to life. Human and Helvaran forces fought side by side. Within a week, the last Dominion troops on the planet surrendered. Helvara 66 was free. Commander Bay stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the tactical display. They had won the first battle. But this was just the beginning. The Dominion would respond. They would send more ships, more soldiers, more firepower, but that was fine. Humanity was ready. And now, watching the news spread across the galaxy, Bay smiled. Every client species would hear about Helvara. Every oppressed world would learn that the Dominion could be beaten. The spark had become fire. On Earth, President Soman Kang prepared to address not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy. Her speech would be carried on every communication channel, transmitted through captured Dominion networks. She would tell them the truth. Earth had rejected the chains the Dominion tried to place. Earth had built weapons in secret. Earth had fought and won, and Earth would help any species that wanted to do the same. The age of Dominion rule was ending. The age of freedom was beginning, and it was starting with fire. Fleet Admiral Mireille Park stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched another Dominion supply convoy die. Her fleet was a mix of human ships and vessels from 6 liberated species. Together they controlled 3 entire sectors that had once belonged to the Dominion. The war had spread faster than anyone expected. After Helvara's liberation, 4 more species had risen in rebellion. Then 10, then 20. The Dominion Council tried to crush each uprising, but they were fighting on too many fronts, and every battle they lost brought more species to the rebel side. Humanity had become the heart of the rebellion, not because they were the strongest, but because they understood something the Dominion had forgotten. Wars were not won by size alone. They were won by strategy, innovation, and the will to keep fighting. Target destroyed, her tactical officer reported. "The convoy's escort ships are retreating. Let them go," Park ordered. "They will report that we hit them here. The Dominion will send reinforcements to defend this sector, which means fewer ships where we actually plan to strike next." The Dominion was learning to fear human tactics. They never knew where humanity would strike. Supply lines were attacked. Communication hubs were destroyed. Isolated garrisons were overrun. The rebels never fought fair. They never fought on the Dominion's terms. Makara of Helvara commanded one of the coalition fleets now. Her people had joined the war enthusiastically after their liberation. Helvarin ships were tough and their crews fearless. They had 400 years of anger to work out. She had become one of Park's closest allies. The two of them coordinated operations across the war's southern front. Trust built through shared battles, but the war was not without cost. Humanity lost ships, lost people. Every victory was paid for in blood. The Dominion might be losing, but they were not beaten. Not yet. Director Yunji An worked from a new command center, this one on a captured Dominion station. Her intelligence network had expanded dramatically. Operatives from dozens of species fed her information. She knew more about Dominion military movements than some Dominion commanders. Her latest intelligence was deeply concerning. The Dominion was massing forces near their core worlds. Not for an offensive. For defense, they were preparing for something. An called an emergency meeting with Park and the other senior commanders. The Dominion is pulling back, An said, displaying tactical maps. They are abandoning outer territories and consolidating around Arcanus Prime and the core systems. That makes no strategic sense, said Commander Bay, who attended the meeting remotely. They could hold those territories with minimal forces, unless they need every ship for something specific, Park said slowly. She studied the map. They are building up defensive positions around something. What is in the core systems that they need to protect so badly? And highlighted a location. The Nexus Prime. It is their central communication hub. Every military order, every fleet coordination, everything goes through there. If we destroy it, the Dominion military loses the ability to function as a unified force. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. The Nexus would be the most heavily defended location in Dominion space. Can we even reach it? Makara asked. Yes, An said. We have captured Dominion officers who know the hyperspace routes. We have access codes from defectors. It is possible. Difficult, but possible. Park made her decision. We do it. Assemble a strike force, 50 of our best ships. Commander Bay will lead. Bay nodded. She had expected this. The mission was nearly suicidal, but it could end the war. That was worth the risk. 3 weeks later, the strike force assembled in a hidden staging area. 50 ships. Elite crews. Every vessel equipped with the best technology humanity and its allies could provide. Commander Bay addressed her fleet before departure. We are going into the heart of enemy territory, she said. Many of us will not return, but if we succeed, we break the Dominion's spine. We give every enslaved species hope. We show the galaxy that tyrants can fall. The fleet departed in silence. They used captured Dominion navigation data to travel through unmapped hyperspace routes, paths that the Dominion thought were secret. For 6 days they traveled. Then they emerged in the Nexus system. The massive station hung in space like a geometric star. Defense platforms surrounded it in layers. Dominion warships patrolled in carefully coordinated patterns. It was the most secure location in the galaxy, and humanity's strike force had appeared behind the defensive perimeter. All ships, attack pattern Omega, Bay ordered. Primary target is the station. Everything else is secondary. The battle was chaos. Dominion defenders scrambled to respond to the unexpected threat. Human ships drove straight for the Nexus, ignoring the defensive platforms, accepting damage to close the distance. Ships died. The beautiful destroyers that humanity had built in secret exploded under Dominion fire, but the survivors kept pushing forward. Bay's flagship took hit after hit. Systems failed, crew died, but she kept going. They were so close now, so close to the target. Prepare boarding teams, she ordered. We are going to finish this personally. Her ship rammed through the Nexus's outer hull. Atmosphere vented into space. Alarm screamed. But human Marines poured into the station, fighting their way toward the reactor core. Bay led them herself. She had been a Special Forces soldier before becoming a ship commander. She knew how to fight in close quarters. Her team cut through Dominion security with brutal efficiency. They reached the reactor core. Bay personally placed the antimatter charges while her team held off Dominion reinforcements. The timer started. 10 minutes, fall back to the ships, she ordered. Get everyone out. Her team retreated. But Bay stayed. She watched the timer count down, making sure nothing would stop the detonation. At 2 minutes, her second-in-command called over the radio. Commander, you need to evacuate now. No time, Bay said calmly. Get the fleet out of the blast radius. That is an order. She stood alone in the reactor chamber and thought about Earth, about the day the Dominion had told humanity to submit, about 5 years of secret preparation, about every battle since Helvara. It had been worth it. They had lit a fire that would burn across the galaxy. The charges detonated. The Nexus Prime exploded with enough force to destroy every ship within 1,000 kilometers. The flash was visible from 3 systems away. The effect on the Dominion military was immediate and catastrophic. Without the Nexus, fleet coordination collapsed. Commanders lost contact with each other. Orders could not be transmitted. The Dominion's carefully coordinated military machine shattered into independent fragments. Some commanders retreated to defend their home systems. Others launched independent offensives without support. A few surrendered. The unified Dominion fleet simply ceased to exist as a coherent force. On Arcanus Prime, High Chancellor Vexus watched his empire crumble. For 10,000 years, the Dominion had ruled through overwhelming force and perfect coordination. Now both were gone, and it was because of humans, the Category 7 species that he had dismissed as primitive. They had deceived him, outsmarted him, beaten him. Vexus made a decision born of desperation. If the Dominion was falling, he would take humanity down with it. He ordered every available ship, every remaining resource mobilized for one final assault. The target was Earth itself. Humanity would pay for its rebellion. The Council would make sure of that. When intelligence of the planned assault reached Fleet Admiral Park, she immediately began recalling all human forces. The defense of Earth was about to begin, and it would be the final battle of the war. The Dominion fleet arrived like darkness swallowing stars. 5,000 warships. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Every vessel the Dominion could scrape together, every weapon they possessed, all aimed at one target. Earth High Chancellor Vexus commanded the fleet personally from his flagship. He was ancient even by his species' standards. He had ruled the Dominion for 300 years. He had crushed 1,000 rebellions. But none of those rebellions had been led by humans. Now he would correct that mistake. People of Earth, his broadcast began. You have rebelled against the natural order. You have destroyed Dominion property. You have encouraged others to defy our rule. These crimes carry only one punishment. Surrender immediately, or your world will burn. Fleet Admiral Mireille Park stood on the bridge of her flagship in Earth orbit. Around her, every defense platform, every ship, every weapon humanity possessed was ready. 300 human warships, defensive stations throughout the asteroid belt, weapons hidden on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Everything humanity had built in 7 years of secret preparation and open war. It looked pitifully small compared to what was coming. She opened a channel to the Dominion flagship, Chancellor Vexus. You expected obedience. You demanded submission. You believed you were superior. Every one of those assumptions was your mistake, and today you pay for them all. Then she gave the order that started the Battle of Sol all stations. Open fire. The asteroid belt erupted with weapons fire. Defense platforms that had been disguised as mining stations revealed their true purpose. Missiles launched from hidden silos on Earth's moon. Every trap humanity had prepared activated at once. The Dominion fleet took losses, but they kept coming. 5,000 ships. The mathematics were brutal and simple. Humanity could not win through firepower alone, but firepower alone was not the plan. On Luna, in a facility buried deep beneath the surface, Dr. Hanako watched her instruments carefully. Around her, the largest quantum resonance generator ever built hummed with barely contained power. It had taken her 2 years to build this. 2 years of research into the fundamental weakness she had discovered in Dominion technology. All Dominion ships used the same quantum entanglement system for faster-than-light communication and navigation. It was elegant, efficient, and completely vulnerable to the right kind of interference. Ko had weaponized that vulnerability. Ready to activate, she reported to Admiral Park. Park watched the Dominion fleet advance. They were in the inner system now. Close enough. She made the hardest decision of her life. Do it. Dr. Ko activated the resonance network. The effect was invisible, but devastating. A quantum pulse spread through the entire Sol system at faster than light speed. It touched every Dominion ship simultaneously. And in that instant, every FTL drive in the Dominion fleet overloaded. Across 5,000 warships, cascading failures erupted. Engines exploded. Shield generators burned out. Navigation systems died. Communication arrays went dark. The massive armada that moments before had been an unstoppable force became 5,000 stranded vessels. High Chancellor Vexus stared at his dead screens in horror. His ship was dark except for emergency lighting. Around him, the same was happening to every vessel in his fleet. What had the humans done? Admiral Park did not waste the opportunity. She gave the order she had been preparing for: Shadow Fleet. Execute final assault. The remaining human warships, untouched by the quantum pulse because they used different technology, emerged from their hiding positions throughout the solar system. They accelerated toward the helpless Dominion fleet. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Human ships systematically destroyed Dominion vessels. Some Dominion crews tried to fight with backup weapons, but without shields or maneuverability, they were helpless. Others tried to surrender, raising white flags and broadcasting pleas for mercy. Park ordered her forces to accept surrenders. This was not about genocide. This was about ending the war. Within 6 hours, it was over. The Dominion fleet was destroyed or captured. Vexus's flagship was boarded by human Marines led by Lieutenant Murray Park, who had been with humanity from the beginning. She found the High Chancellor on his bridge, surrounded by dead systems and dying hopes. He looked at her with something between rage and incomprehension. "How?" he asked. "Category 7 species do not have this capability. We were never Category 7, Park said. We were patient. We learned. We adapted. While you assumed we were weak, we were preparing. Your arrogance was the only weapon we needed." Vexus was taken into custody. Admiral Park brought him before a communication screen. President Soman Kang appeared, broadcasting from Earth. "Chancellor Vexus, the Dominion is broken. Your fleets are destroyed. Your empire is in chaos. You have one choice left. Order all Dominion forces to stand down, end this war, or watch as every system you once controlled rises against you." Vexus looked at the human president, this small woman who had defied him, who had orchestrated the destruction of 10,000 years of Dominion rule. He had underestimated her species completely. He made the broadcast. "To all Dominion forces. This is High Chancellor Vexus. I order immediate cessation of all military action. The war is over. We have lost." Across the galaxy, Dominion commanders received the message. Some obeyed immediately, relieved to stop fighting. Others refused, trying to continue, but without coordination, without the nexus, without unified command, they were defeated piecemeal by rebel forces. Within 3 months, the Dominion Council formally dissolved. The client species were released from servitude. The age of enforced galactic hierarchy ended. President Kang stood before representatives of 200 species in the rebuilt council chamber on Arcanus Prime, the same chamber where Ambassador Choi had been laughed at 7 years ago. Now she addressed them as equals. "We did not fight to replace one empire with another," she said. "We fought for freedom. Not just our freedom, everyone's freedom. Today, we established the Free Species Coalition, an alliance of equals. Membership is voluntary. No species will be forced to obey another. No species will be labeled as superior or inferior." The chamber erupted in approval. Not everyone agreed. Some species wanted to rebuild the old order. Some wanted revenge against former oppressors. But most just wanted peace. A chance to rebuild. A chance to be free. 5 years after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy had changed. The Free Species Coalition governed through cooperation rather than force. Trade flourished. Technology advanced, faster than ever before, with dozens of species sharing knowledge freely. There were still problems. Some former Dominion worlds struggled with freedom. Pirates took advantage of the chaos. Border disputes erupted. But these were problems that could be solved through negotiation and mutual effort. Fleet Admiral Park had retired from active military command. She now led the Coalition Defense Force, a volunteer organization that protected member species from external threats. No one wanted to test whether humanity's military could repeat their victory. The reputation alone kept the peace. Dr. Hana Ko had returned to pure research. She traveled the galaxy freely now, studying the wonders of alien science without restriction. The universe was so much bigger and stranger than humans had imagined. She loved every minute of it. On Earth, in a small house overlooking the ocean, an old woman sat with her granddaughter. The girl was young, maybe 10 years old. She looked up at the stars visible in the evening sky. "Grandmother," the girl asked, "you were there, weren't you?" "When the war started?" The old woman smiled. She had been Lieutenant Mireille Park once, Fleet Admiral Park. Now she was just a grandmother enjoying retirement. "Yes," she said, "I was there. Were you scared?" "All the time. But being scared doesn't mean you stop fighting. It means you fight anyway." The girl thought about this. What's space like now? Is it safe? Park looked at the stars. It's beautiful. It's dangerous. It's full of wonders. And it belongs to everyone brave enough to reach for it. That's what we fought for. That's what we won. The girl smiled. "When I grow up, I want to go to the stars. You will. And unlike your grandmother, you won't have to fight for permission." They sat together in comfortable silence watching the stars. Somewhere out there, hundreds of species were building a new civilization. One based on cooperation rather than domination, choice rather than compulsion. The Dominion had expected obedience. They had demanded submission based on ancient assumptions about strength and weakness. They had believed their rule was the natural order of things. Humanity had taught them differently. Strength was not just about ships and weapons. It was about adaptability. Innovation, the refusal to accept injustice, and the will to keep fighting even when victory seemed impossible. The galaxy had burned. But from the ashes, something better had grown. Freedom was never given by the powerful. It was taken by the determined. And once taken, it was defended with everything you had. That was the lesson written in the stars. That was the legacy of the war. That was what humanity had given to the galaxy. The pride of empires could burn, but the spirit of freedom was eternal.